What's up everyone, my name is Augustine, I'm a musician and a massive fan of the Beatles, and in today's video I'm gonna show you the top 10 best Beatles locations in the city of Liverpool, England. Now, before we get started, I wanted to make sure you know this YouTube channel is actually dedicated to the Beatles, and I have many videos visiting very famous Beatles locations in Liverpool and in London, and there is a video for every single one of these places that I'm showing you right now. So if you love the Beatles as much as I do, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my other videos. So, number 1 is Paul McCartney's childhood home at 20 Forthlin Road. The reason why I chose this one over all the other Beatles houses is because John Lennon and Paul McCartney used to hang out here a lot, and they wrote many songs in here as well. So we step into the house through the back door, and the first thing we see is the kitchen, which is kept pretty much as it was when Paul used to live in the house. Of course, it's a very old looking kitchen, and yeah, it's quite nice, decorated with lovely pictures and everything. Then next door we have the TV room where Paul McCartney's father used to spend his time, and then next door we can see the living room, which is to me the best room in the house. It's really nice, there's a lot of very interesting pictures, and of course we can see the piano that unfortunately is not the same piano that used to be there when Paul used to live in the house, but Paul did play that piano on the Carpool Karaoke episode with James Corden, where they drive around Liverpool and they visit famous Beatles locations, like for example Penny Lane, and then they visit the house. So yes, in that episode Paul played a little bit of When I'm 64 on this piano. Number 2 is John Lennon's childhood home at 251 Menlove Avenue. And then we can see the front porch, which is the only place in the house where John Lennon was allowed to play guitar, because Aunt Mimi said that it was way too loud whenever he played guitar in the room. And John Lennon actually quite liked it because of the acoustics, because the porch is made of glass and that gives you a really cool echo. And these days musicians are used to recording music and adding a lot of effects to it, like reverb, delay and things like that make you sound really cool. But of course back then they didn't have any of that, so this was a really cool effect for John Lennon in his childhood. Number 3 is the famous Cavern Club in Matthew Street, where the Beatles used to play. The Cavern Club is a nightclub on Matthew Street, Liverpool, England. The Cavern opened in 1957 as a jazz club, later becoming the center of the rock and roll scene in Liverpool in the early 60s. The club became closely associated with the Mersey Beat and often played host to the Beatles in their early years. The Cavern Club closed and opened on a new site in 1973, and it was filled in during the construction work on the Merseyrail Underground rail loop.
Session at the Cavern, we proudly present the Beatles!
The Beatles made their first appearance at the club on the 9th of February 1961, after returning to Liverpool from Hamburg, Germany, where they had been playing at the Indra and Kaiserkeller clubs. Their stage show had been through a lot of changes, with some in the audience thinking they were watching a German band, as they were built from Hamburg. From 1961 to 1963, the Beatles made 292 appearances at the club, with their last occurring on the 3rd of August 1963, a month after the band recorded She Loves You, and just 6 months before the Beatles' first trip to the US. Number 4 is Strawberry Field. Strawberry Field is a Salvation Army property and visitor attraction in the Liverpool suburb of Walton. It operated as a children's home between 1936 and 2005. The house and grounds had originally been built as a private residence in the Victorian era, before being acquired by the Salvation Army in the 1930s. The house was demolished in 1973 due to structural problems and replaced with purpose-built units. After being closed as a children's home, the site has continued to be used by the Salvation Army for other purposes. The location gained worldwide fame following the release of the Beatles' 1967 release Strawberry Fields Forever. The songwriter John Lennon had grown up nearby and played in the grounds of the home as a child. In time, the old red painted entrance gates at Beaconsfield Road became a place of pilgrimage for Beatles fans. In 2019, Strawberry Field was open to the public for the first time, with an exhibition on its history, cafe and shop, alongside a training center for young people with special educational needs. Number 5 is Penny Lane. In Penny Lane you will see some places that are mentioned in the song, like for example the shelter in the middle of the roundabout, the bank and the barber shop. You will also find some other places that are not mentioned in the song, like for example St. Barnabas Church, where Paul McCartney used to sing in the choir as a kid, and where Paul McCartney's brother Michael got married. In the carpool karaoke episode with Paul McCartney and James Gordon, they drive around Liverpool and they visit famous Beatles locations including Penny Lane, and we can see Paul writing his name on one of the street signs here at Penny Lane.
Penny Lane is in my ears and in my eyes. Oh yeah. Someone's gonna come up and go, that's never him. They'll never believe it. They'll never believe it.
They also visited the famous barber shop mentioned in the song, and they took some pictures with the lady who was working at the shop.
Come in your shop, love. We just want to get into the barber. All right. Look, who's up here now? Ducky's having his haircut. I got a feeling this one might be on the wall as well, Paul. There we go. See you, love.
After I finished recording this video, I decided to walk into the barber shop and get a haircut. For some reason, I was expecting to pay quite a lot of money for that haircut, but it was only £10, which is quite an average price for a haircut in the UK. Number 6 is Ringo Starr's childhood home at 10 Admiral Grove. 10 Admiral Grove, a property in Dingle, Liverpool, England, is the house in which Ringo Starr lived for 20 years before he rose to fame with the Beatles. Starr's infant school, St. Silas Primary School on Penworth Street, was yards away from his front door. He was a sickly child, and due to his many absences from school, he was taught to read and write at home. A severe bout of peritonitis led him to spend much of his 7th year at the Royal Children's Hospital. When Ringo was 13, his mother Elsie married a Londoner, Harry Graves.
Okay, well let's cross over. And this is Admiral Grove, where I lived from when I was 5 to when I was 22. I remember when I was 5 when we moved from over the road where we'll go later. We didn't have a bathroom, so I spent, and we still have the victory sign, that was from when the war was over. The V is over there for victory. We had a big street party here for all the kids. This house is probably 20 foot square, and when I was 21, we had 80 people in here. We had a great birthday.
Number 7 is George Harrison's childhood home at 12 Arnold Grove. The reason why I chose George's house last is because it's a little bit too far from the city centre of Liverpool, so you might not want to visit if you only have 1 or 2 days in the city. 12 Arnold Grove is the birthplace and early childhood home of former Beatle George Harrison. His parents, Harold and Louise, moved to the house in 1931 following their marriage. The rent was 10 shillings a week, and their 4 children were born in the house: Louise, Harry, Peter and George. Harrison lived in the property for 6 years, by which time his family had been living there for nearly 20 years. Number 8 is St. Peter's Church, the place where John Lennon and Paul McCartney met, and where you'll find Eleanor Rigby's gravestone. On the 6th of July 1957, 16-year-old John Lennon met 15-year-old Paul McCartney. It was at St. Peter's Church in Walton, Liverpool. John Lennon was playing with the Quarrymen, his band, at the church fete garden party. It was a Saturday afternoon and Paul had gone along to the fete with his friend Ivan Vaughan to watch John Scaffell Group, the Quarrymen. The group took its name from Quarrybank High School, which all members attended. The Quarrymen played on a makeshift stage in a field behind the church. John Lennon played the guitar and sang, while Eric Griffiths also played the guitar, Colin Hanton the drums, Rod Davids a banjo, Pete Shotton was on the washboard, and Lynn Gary played the tea-chest bass. In the cemetery at St. Peter's, a gravestone bears the name of Eleanor Rigby, which would eventually become the title of a 1966 hit song written by Paul McCartney and included in the Beatles album Revolver. The grave is located in the section of the cemetery to the left of the church, in the second row facing the street, just to the right of the cemetery's center walkway. The gravestone also features inscriptions for several other members of the Rigby family. McCartney attributed the name to a combination of the actress Eleanor Bron and the name of a store in Bristol, Rigby and Evans Ltd. Wine and Spirit Shippers. He also later admitted he might have unconsciously borrowed her name from the gravestone. In any event, the details about Eleanor Rigby in the song are purely fictional. The real Eleanor was born in 1895 to parents Mary Rigby and Arthur Whitfield. She worked in a hospital in Liverpool and in 1930 married a man named Thomas Woods. Eleanor Rigby lived in Walton her whole life and died at age 44 in 1939. Number 9 is the Beatles Story Museum. The Beatles Story is a museum in Liverpool about the Beatles and their history. It contains recreations of the Casper Club, the Cavern Club and Abbey Road Studios, among other historical Beatles items such as John Lennon's spectacles, George Harrison's first guitar, and a detailed history about the British invasion and the solo careers of every Beatle. And finally, number 10 is the Casper Club. The Casper Club, officially Casper Club, was a rock and roll music venue in the West Derby area of Liverpool, England that operated from 1959 to 1962. Started by Mona Best, mother of early Beatles drummer Pete Best, in the cellar of their family home, the Casbah was planned as a members-only club for her sons and their friends to meet and listen to popular music of the day. Mona came up with the idea of the club after watching a TV report about the Two Eyes coffee bar in London Soho, where several singers had been discovered. The Quarrymen, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison and Ken Brown, went to the club to arrange the first booking, to which Mona agreed, but said she needed to finish painting the club first. All four took up brushes and helped Mona finish painting the walls with spiders, dragons, rainbows and stars. In addition to the four boys' artistic contributions, Cynthia Powell, later to become Cynthia Lennon, painted a silhouette of John Lennon on the wall, which can still be seen today.
I remember the Casbah night, the opening night, because we were upstairs in this house in West Derby, which I didn't know a lot about, obviously, because I wasn't in the museo's business or anything else, but I was with John and Paul. And I think when we went downstairs, and the whole setup was wonderful for an aspiring young rock and roller. To have that on their doorstep and to be able to sort of perform safely. I don't know how to put it. It was safe and it was secure.
The group often played at the Casbah, as other venues like the Cavern Club had a jazz-only policy at that time. The cellar, with its original decoration, still exists. In 2006, Culture Minister David Lammy announced that the cellar was to be given Grade 2 listed building status and a blue plaque, after being recommended by English Heritage. It was opened as a tourist attraction in Liverpool, along with Paul McCartney and John Lennon's previous homes at 20 Forthlin Road and 251 Menlove Avenue, respectively. Okay, this is pretty much it for now. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook. There is a PayPal link for donations. Every donation will be absolutely appreciated. And the most important thing is, if you like the Beatles as much as I do, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, because I have many videos visiting very famous Beatles locations, and remember, I made a full video for each and every single one of these places that I just showed you. This is pretty much it for now. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.
Well, I'm afraid that's us run out of time.
Oh,
I'm really
okay.
sorry.
Well,
So,
bye, everyone.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I give my heart to you, I must be sure from the very start that you